Hello, everyone. So nice to be with all of you. Here we are, Cancer season. Just finished the solstice. I actually left town for like 2.5 days. I thought I would get a video out for the solstice, but you know how that goes. I haven't left town since 2018, so I was a little out of practice. But I found somebody to be with Bae, and actually, she'll have stuff during the day just for a few hours. So I'll be more free to make videos. Someone, a tarot reader on YouTube, she has hundreds of thousands of subscribers, but she told me a long time ago to share with everyone that, I don't have like 2 hours of time together to do this. It takes longer than that, of course, to get everything ready and do a video. But, I especially if I'm doing one about the United States, I don't want to shortchange you. So I want to make sure that I can focus for a couple of hours on just doing that. So I'm going to talk about it more in that video. What Metatron mentioned in the last video about, what we might expect when Mars is going through Gemini and hitting the Mars of the United States, the Uranus of the United States, and his long trek through there. All of the justices, every single one who overturned Roe v. Wade this week, were appointed by presidents who were not elected by majority. They were elected by the Electoral College. They actually lost the popular vote. And what is Electoral College? Why did they come up with that? How did that come to be? Slavery. So it just keeps coming. That the fact that we just gave in, or I shouldn't say we, but some of the founding fathers gave in order to form a government and kept that in place to please everyone. Look at now, like it just keeps the ramifications. Metatron is saying he's just showing them going on and on and on and on and on. And we affect change too in that same way, in a positive way, because everything is connected, right? And sometimes, I don't know why he's bringing this up, but sometimes we're making a turn and we're thinking that we've made a mistake, we've gone down the wrong path, we're wasting time, he's saying, but everything is building. One experience is building onto the next, and we don't know, what it will lead to next. If we just keep going. He's saying, like, focusing on the goal, but enjoying the steps, and that it is the process, and it's about the climb, he's reminding us. And so it's really important now to just focus on what we can do to affect change, to ensure that everyone has freedom, not just some. And, to straighten this out. I don't know, what that is going to look like. We'll have to just wait and see. And I do think that we have more coming. Mind you, I want to just mention, because it got lost. I just found this out today. It got lost in the news cycle because of Roe v. Wade, that they also messed around with Miranda rights. So now if they don't read them to you, and then some kind of abuse, or they throw you in a cell and don't talk to you, you really have no recourse for that. If they just throw you in there, they don't Mirandize you, they're going to be able to do that now too. So it's not just Roe v. Wade. This is an activist court. This is what they've been trying to do for decades, and they finally got there. And everything happens for a reason. I'm not saying don't do anything to change it. I'm not saying that. But we just have to accept it and then do what we can to affect change in a better way. So, yeah, but I did want to mention, before I get into the new moon in Cancer and what we have going on presently in the sky, I went back and looked at, because I saw another astrologer mention it, so I went back and looked at the eclipse chart for May 16th, and you can see it in that chart. Of course, nobody knew when that was going to be released, that opinion. You guys, my hair is doing funny things. That is, that's Loki back there. Venus is running around too, but that's Loki there. He is the baby. So on the 16th, when we had that full moon eclipse in Scorpio, transiting Vesta, which is where we make a commitment. She also has to do with home and hearth, and kind of the idea that it's the mother that keeps the family going. And I don't want to put this into male, female, but you get what I'm saying. There's usually, and it's changing a lot actually nowadays with the nurturing. When you look around at younger couples, young families, fathers are much more involved than they used to be. But Vesta is definitely something that's a commitment. It's also really karmic. It's kind of like, this is what you're doing. This is what he's saying. The plan that you stated, like before you came in. So transiting Vesta, Saturn and the asteroid Union were on the moon, the Aquarian moon of the United States, which is with Pallas Athena. They're like less than a degree apart from each other. The United States Vesta was between transiting Uranus, and the north node was conjunct the sun. So the Vesta of the United States was sitting there. So you have to kind of look at both of those. How does that play out? Vesta and Vesta. And then the United States Venus Jupiter conjunction, transiting Black Moon Lilith, Gabriel and Ceres. When I look at Gabriel and Ceres together, like they were at the time, that while they were transit, they were at the same degree. That's a child. You could even say that's gestation. Gabriel in your chart relates to always the messenger, but he's also about childlike wonder, children. And then the United States Chiron, we're having our Chiron return too. It's still not to the degree that it was when in 1776, but he's very close. The U.S. Chiron and transiting Chiron was flush with Venus at that eclipse, was hitting the U.S. Chiron. So obviously something to do with females and healthcare. So yeah, we'll see what goes on. And we've got so much fire in Aries, with the Aries blown up with Jupiter there. Wherever Jupiter is always a bigger deal because he's so big. Mars is there, and Jupiter is actually squaring this new moon in Cancer. You know what? Before I go any further, I have to say thank you to Ona of Ona Tarot. Ona lives in Chicago. She called me months ago, and she offered to gift flowers for the patio. So for me to enjoy, for all of us to enjoy, I want to say thank you to Ona for all of the flowers. She is at Clover's on Montrose and Cumberland. But she has a channel on YouTube, Ona Tarot, ONA, if you want to look up her channel. Okay, so let's get to this new moon in Cancer. Cancer season is always interesting anyway, because, and I have a brother with a Cancer sun and moon, because Cancers are interesting. The sun is in Cancer, but you really have to look at the moon. Because it's answering to the moon, and the moon changes so much, is so versatile, with where wherever she is in the zodiac. So, you can have a Cancer with a Taurus moon or a Pisces moon is going to be a lot different than, say, someone with a sun in Cancer and a moon in Aquarius or a moon in Scorpio. But we're all going to be feeling, as the moon goes through the signs and whatever is happening with the moon, it can affect really the mood just in general. And if you are super sensitive, if you have a really sensitive chart, then you're going to really feel it during Cancer season. So, we think about nesting with Cancer, the safe harbor, the place that you call home, where it is that you want to come home to, where you feel comfortable in your skin. And all of those things are very important to someone. My moon is ruled by Cancer, it's in Leo, but I know that a lot of you that have that same placement are super sensitive, and it's a kind of a quiet sign. It's more reserved. Cancer it's a cardinal sign, so it's about initiating energy, taking that first step. So great time to have the new moon, especially with Mars in his own sign of Aries. I hope that the tape is okay, because on my end I'm looking funny. I keep freezing, which is weird. But anyway, okay. So on the 28th of June in the United States in Central Standard Time, it's at 9:52 p.m. In London, it's the 29th at 3:52 a.m. And in Sydney, it's 12:52 p.m. At the time that we have this, and this is a water sign, it's emotional, it's what is nearest and dearest to our heart, what we nurture, he's saying sanctify, what we take care of. It's like the vessel that we want to fill. Filling the needs of your moon and your chart makes you happy, for everybody. That's what it is. So when we're looking at a Cancer sun and a Cancer moon, it could be an emotional energy, especially because, like I said, even though it's a new moon, it's not even a super moon, but because of that square from Jupiter. Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Sag, and he's also he's the ruler of Sag, he's the traditional ruler of Pisces. And he can get a little bit Neptunian like that, where, you want to be careful that you're telling yourself a good story. He's saying nothing to yourself of missing the mark or woulda, shoulda, coulda. That kind of thing just immediately brings us down. And in this astrology, it's going to be big, whatever it is. So it can be very joyful, or it can be more somber and sedated and a little sad. I just have to explain to you guys that I waited all day for the wind to die down, and it did, but it's dark out now. So that's why it looks dark behind me, because the sun is setting. I just realized that. But, this is where we're going to be cognitively, like reminding ourselves, that all is okay, that everything is okay, because we are in a big state of flux. Even in this chart, so I do the universal chart, the Uranus is square to the IC, the bottom of the sky, and square to the midheaven, the top of the sky. So that just says like we're, moving and shaking. A lot in this chart is in the 12th house. We've got Venus, Mercury, Pallas Athena, the North Node, which is very close to Uranus right now. Those are all in the 12th house of this chart. So, okay, sorry about that. I froze for good. But this is the kind of sky where maybe don't share a lot about your plans. Maybe don't share the details, because when all of this is happening in the 12th, and the moon and the sun are in the 1st, so we feel like, especially with Jupiter squaring from Aries, we need to rush out there and get started. I would say, and this was Metatron's advice as well, this is a time, he's saying, begin plotting what it is that you want to do. Now, if there's something that you're finishing up on, or you've had an ingenious idea, you're planning on moving forward for a long time, go ahead. Yeah, do that. But if this is something brand new, then you might want to wait just a little bit, because of everything that's happening in the sky, aside from that. Now, when you look at all of those little green lines, if you can see, from Saturn all the way to the sun, that is like dream big. There is a shift happening. And it's time to, he's saying go for it. But in a way that is structured, because Saturn is, the first guy there. And he likes methodical planning. He likes us to know the ins and outs and the details of it. And so working from a place, and he's saying, recognizing that we're competent and being confident in our own gifts and our ability to achieve the goal. I hope I'm going to be able to see my writing in a couple minutes. Being confident in the goal and your ability to achieve it, even if you don't know practically exactly how it's going to work out, but taking a first step. Black Moon Lilith is not only with conjunct the sun and moon, she's also parallel by declination, because the moon in this chart is out of bounds. The moon is out of bounds flush with Aries and Black Moon Lilith. They're all three together. It's, that is kind of like the abortion argument, like those three together. So that's really interesting too. And this, they take like what, about 2.5 years, till it's fully, we're working with a completely new energy. And every time that happens, like every time the solstice, the equinox, the eclipses come, you got to kind of look at all of it together, right? Which is why it takes a long time to do that, to have everything ready for you with the U.S. chart. But all of those little, they're 30 degree, those little green lines are 30 degrees, and it's called a semi-sextile. It's like the energy of taking your finger and flicking a ping pong ball. Not too hard, not like you're trying to, volley it all the way across the table. Just giving it a little flick, and then it goes to the next one, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 semi-sextiles aligned up from the Saturn to the sun in Cancer. So I would keep the cards close to your chest. I wouldn't be, and even because of the way that Pluto is trine Pallas Athena, even if you get information that you've been waiting for, and I'm talking about like intuitively, I would kind of sit on it, be careful who you share it with. With Black Moon Lilith, she's always about independence and getting out from under the thumb of someone else, not being dictated to. She doesn't put up with that kind of thing. And, Venus is in Mercury's sign of Gemini. Mercury is still in Gemini. So there is a lot out there saying like dance, have fun. He's saying distract yourself. He's saying you can be in the present and appreciate what is around you and the beauty that you have within. Your ability to be guided by your own soul is something to be appreciative for. All of that, whatever we are focusing on and wherever our mood is, Cancer, is what we're emitting, what we're telling the universe that we are attracting, what we're calling back to ourselves. And because Cancer is about feeling, it's like those of you that did, I think it was the April 12th Neptune-Jupiter conjunction. Those of you that did that with me, we practiced feeling the joy in our heart when what we were calling in came to fruition in the physical. First, we appreciate it, we love it, it brings us joy, we feel satisfied, and then it comes into place. So really be careful like where you're focusing, even for the collective. He was talking about reaching out to people who maybe are, not where we are, maybe are having a more difficult time. And he's saying that that can even help to lift you if you're feeling down. Really important right now, too. to let go of he's saying victim mentality, and he's attributing it to the lack mentality, that they go hand in hand. Really important to let go of the lack mentality, because people are constantly, having that in their face, that, corporations have record gains right now, but everything is more expensive. Makes no sense. It's like capitalism is like, whoa, going nuts. So, really focusing on what you have, being grateful for what you have, not allowing fear to enter the picture, or, like the fear of running out or not having enough, or what's going to happen when, those kind of scenarios is what he's talking about. That Saturn, Mars, Uranus, the way that they're speaking to each other in this chart really talks about a change of fortune. But again, anytime that, especially if Saturn and Mars are together, then it's going to be incremental change, like stages. Maybe not like, you know what I mean? But working toward a goal, but steady progress too. And then, what else did he say? Let me see. Well, I'm reading in the dark now. Seeing in the dark, seeing through the dark, recognizing that we are in the illusion, and the scariest things that are going around, probably not true, first of all, but he's talking about checking facts and checking them again, before you just believe like what you're told the first time. And then being the light by feeling joy, allowing yourself to feel joyful, and then patiently gathering information. Those of you who are like expecting a big change, something like a move or leaving your job, gathering information. Okay. And then Mars and Mars and Eris. And this is going on all this week. Mars and Eris are together squaring Pluto. That's a lot of fire. And don't forget, they're squaring the United States Pluto too. It's a lot of fire. That's like white hot anger, really. So, I wouldn't even, like, somebody says something, especially like driving, be careful. I would just let stuff go by. People are going to be super emotional. And then nurturing the love in your life and those that you love who are around you. The family that you've chosen, he's saying, or the family that you were given to, or that you had. And then like watching, and always with Cancer, that's where food sensitivities show up too. So being careful of what we are, because Aries is also in Cancer now. So what we're ingesting, as far as food is important, but also what we're feeding our mind. Aries is in a trine with Juno. So it's kind of like, and Juno is really close to Neptune. So partnering with the big dream. Like if your dream is to get fit, this is a phenomenal energy for that, believe it or not, even though it's new moon in Cancer, because of everything happening in Aries right now. Really great time to start a workout program or a stretching program, and remembering to dream big, acknowledging like how fertile you are, that your ideas are fertile. Thank you for the ingenious solution for this problem. Thank you for helping me to navigate this situation. And not getting because it's going to feel a bit overwhelming in this energy if something does go wrong. And then also with it, as far as like lack and all of that, he was actually reminding me that, of times where I've been struggling financially, that when I made a donation, it wasn't a big one, but I did. And I'm not saying like go into debt or anything like that. But if you can give a little bit to an organization that you care about, that's a cause that you care about, that's a great way to turn the tide, because that always comes back to us, and sometimes immediately. Always, of course, do it for the right reason, but it is a good way to, make yourself feel like, see, look, I can actually share this. It will come back. Some of you have said that to me. after he mentioned it in videos about things that you gifted, and then that it did come right back to you immediately. I want to thank everybody who was part of Suzanne Gerber's, what was it? Oh, The Secrets of Master Astrologers. I know a lot of you subscribed to me after watching me, and I'm glad. I'm so glad to have you here. I want to tell everybody who's been with me for a while, and just so you know, this always happens. It's not just me. But YouTube typically will, like when I had way more views, like 22 people would get unsubscribed a month, and then it went to 40. It was 40 for a while, but a couple of months ago, and I just keep forgetting to tell you guys, I'm not, it's terrible, it was 111. Like literally within a couple hours. So that, I don't know why that happens, but it did. So be careful. Some of you have said like, oh, I haven't seen you on YouTube. And I'm like, no, I'm there. So yeah, just always check, even when it's not me. It's a good idea to check that you're getting notifications when you want them. And that I live by O'Hare. You guys can hear all the planes going by. Check that you're still subscribed and getting notifications from the people that you want, because it just happens all the time. I'm going to talk more about AI in the next video, because that really deserves more attention. But now that my daughter has someone to be with her for a few hours during the day, I hopefully will be back next week, and I want to share the AI dream that I had with you guys, because it was pretty interesting. Just remember, any tie of fear or any tie of resentment will bring a connection, and usually it's just something that we don't want. So always being grateful for the ease, he's saying, and the convenience of modern technology. My ancestors always remind me to be grateful for things like that. That's something that we can all be grateful for. But I did have a real weird dream with that I'm sure he would like me to share with you. But since he didn't bring it up when I was writing everything out for today, we'll talk about it next time. So anyway, you guys, so nice to be with all of you. I hope that you're enjoying your winter or your summer. I'm so happy to connect with you guys all the time when I do. So anyway, everyone, take care of yourselves, and I will see you in about a week. Happy new moon.